First thing I want to talk to you about is the most important things when it comes to getting your bow properly set up. That's correct draw length and pulling a correct poundage. Correct draw length is really going to determine how accurate you are and how good your form is. If your draw length is too long, you're going to be leaning back, you're really going to be out of shape, and your form is going to suffer, and that's going to mess up your accuracy, and it's also going to affect your bow tuning. If it's making you torque your bow or grip your bow, it's going to make you have tuning issues. So the correct way to determine draw length is quite simple. You take a soft tape like this that'll roll out, and simply spread your fingers and measure from tip to tip. Now you may need a little bit of help with this, but measure from tip to tip. Once you get that, my wingspan is 65 inches. Divide that by 2.5, and that equals out to your correct draw length. So now that we know our correct draw length, once again, the correct way to measure draw length is measure your wingspan, tip to tip of your fingers, and divide that by 2.5, 2.5, and that'll determine your correct draw length. Now that you know your correct draw length, the next thing you need to determine is the draw weight that you could comfortably pull back and comfortably hold and maintain. This is a problem that I see a lot of archers have. They're pulling way too much poundage. Pulling the correct amount of poundage is not only going to help you be more accurate and more steady, it's also going to help you when it comes to hunting. One tip that I'm going to give you guys right off the bat is never ever pull a bow back without an arrow on it. I trust my release and I know to keep my fingers away from it, but mistakes can happen. So do not pull your bow back without an arrow on the rest. Point it in a safe direction and pull your bow back. Correct draw weight is going to be a draw weight that you can pull back comfortably every time. You shouldn't have to strain to pull it back. You shouldn't have to hold it. You should be able to comfortably hold this bow for at least a minute. For as long as you possibly can, you should be able to hold this bow comfortably. And then raise up and settle in for the shot to still be able to hold it. Now, I'm just about to the point where I'm going to have to let this bow down. But I've been holding it for a little bit now, and it's not hardly bothered me at all. So, not only is holding it going to help you out, if you have to hold it out in the deer woods, it's going to make you a little bit more comfortable on the 3D range, and it's going to make you a better shot overall. Lower poundage is going to help you more than a high poundage bow that you can't shoot accurately. Accuracy and a good tuned bow is far more important than a fast bow. Another thing that I see a lot of guys do when they're pulling too much poundage is what I call the sky draw. They get back and they can't pull it straight back, so they're pulling from up here, and they're pulling like that. That's a terrible thing to be doing. One, it's not safe because you're shooting up into the sky, and who knows where your arrow's going to go. Two, imagine doing that out in the deer woods. Imagine doing that with a deer underneath you. I know if I got a buck like that underneath me, I don't want to be making as much movement, as little movement as I possibly can. So, the correct draw weight is going to be a weight that you can point straight out at you and pull straight back and settle in comfortably. Okay, so now you've decided that how much weight you want to pull. A good thing to buy is a bow scale so you can tell exactly how much weight you want to pull. If not, you can actually just change the draw length or change the draw weight until you get comfortable with it. Okay, so most of the time when you buy a bow, the shop or whoever you buy it from is going to have this thing set to the poundage. If you buy this thing from a shop, they're going to set it to the poundage that you want it set at. But say you get home or say you buy a used bow and you want to change the poundage on it. There's a couple things you need. This is a real simple process to do, and it's real easy to do this. The most important thing is to keep your limbs even. There's a real easy way to do that. It's called setting your tiller. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you now how to change the draw weight on your bow. What you're going to need is a set of Allen wrenches and a tape measure. So we're going to change the draw weight on this bow. The most important thing to do is to change both limbs evenly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Allen wrenches in there just like that. And say I want to take some weight out of this bow, I'm going to turn this one time around, one complete turn to where the Allen wrenches are lined right back up to where they are now. And you can do this a couple of turns, 2 or 3 turns. I would do no more than maybe 3 turns before I do the other limb. So we did the top limb 1 turn. We're going to do the bottom limb one turn as well. There we go. And try to keep it even. Try to make it a complete one turn. So now, say you got your poundage set, and you want to check and make sure that both your limbs are even. This is what we're going to do to set the tiller. You can take your tape measure, put it right under your limb pocket to where your limb pocket meets your limb. Come right out to your cam. What you're going to do is just like this, right under your limb pocket. Come right out to your cam. The best way to do it is just on this side of the bow. Come right out to your cam. I go right underneath my cam and I'm going to measure to the outside of the string. Right there it's 9 3/4. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Right on top of my cam. And it's 9 3/4. So this bow's set. Now just say for example that the top limb is out. The top limb is, there's too much, say we're at 10 on the top limb and we're at 9 3/4 on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my tiller. To bring that string in, I'm going to tighten the limb down. If that string needs to go out to be evened up with the bottom, I'm going to take that string and let it up. I'm going to lower my poundage. So and you're going to do this about a quarter of a turn. So we'll say I want to bring this limb in. I'm going to turn it a quarter of a turn on the top limb down. Now I'm going to do the opposite on the bottom limb. I'm going to turn it a quarter of a turn out. And that's going to help me set my tiller. I'm going to keep doing that until I've got the strings within 1/8 of an inch. Once you get these things within 1/8 of an inch, that's probably as good as you're going to get it, and you're set. So, if this was too far out, if the top was 10 and the bottom was 9 3/4, I would tighten my top down to bring my string in. If I wanted to take the bottom out to make it out to 10, I would loosen it up. So loosen it up is going to take your string out. Tightening it up is going to bring your string in. And you always want to do the exact opposite from one limb to the other. So if you take your top limb out, you want to take your bottom limb down. And we're going to do this in small increments, about a quarter of a turn, until we get our tiller set to within 1/8 of an inch of each other. So that's setting your tiller, and that's how to change your poundage. So now that you know what draw weight you can pull and the draw length that you should be pulling, you've went to the archery shop, you picked out your bow, and you've decided that you want to shoot a high country iron mace. So we've got our iron mace here. It's got a few things on it already, this bow, but I'm going to take them out of here. I've got the peep sight on here and I've got a string loop on here. But you've got your bow. So now, are you going to pay the technician at the shop to set this bow up for you and tune it for you and spend all that time tuning it? Or are you going to take it home and do it yourself? I like to do it myself. Not only do I take a lot of pride in a well-tuned bow, but it saves me some money. And that's what we're going to offer you in this DVD, is a way to save you some money and a way to take some pride. There's nothing like a finely tuned bow. There's nothing like showing off a finely tuned bow or being able to tune your buddy's bow for you. So we're going to take this bow from Bear Bow and we're going to show you everything you need to know. We're going to show you how to set up your rest, how to tie in your loop, how to tie in a peep sight. We're going to show you all the tools that you're going to need to do this. We're going to show you how to adjust your poundage. We're going to show you how to tune this bow, paper tune, walk back tune, broadhead tune, how to sight this thing in. When we're done with this bow, it's going to put every broadhead that I shoot, any type of broadhead that I want to shoot, as long as it's the same grain as my field point, and it's going to put it in the exact same point of impact as my field points. So stay with us here real quick, and we're going to start on this bow.